Welcome back to our show. Joining us today is Jessica Fulton. She's the Director of Economic Policy at the Joint Center for Political and Economic Studies. We've been trying to get them on this show for a long time, so we're happy about that. And next to her is David Byler. He's a data analyst and columnist at the Washington Post. Attorney General Bill Barr's summary of the Mueller investigation concluded there was no collusion between President Trump or his associates in Russia on the 2016 election. Mueller did not decide anything on obstruction of justice, but the president and Republicans are taking it as a solid win. According to Attorney General William Barr, a declassified version of the Mueller report will be released in a few weeks. But have initial reports had an impact on the president's job approval numbers? Our exclusive poll from the Hill and Harris X took a look. And our exclusive daily poll from the Hill and Harris X has the newest job approval numbers since the submission of the Mueller report. Those numbers are 46% approve and 54% disapprove. That's statistically the same as his 45% approval rating over the past month in our poll. The Real Clear Politics average of the president's latest approval number has him at 43% with a 53% disapproval. So, if, as the president says, the Barr summary of Mueller's report exonerates him, why is his approval rating remaining static? Which, by the way, is pretty much the same as other post-Mueller reports. So, Dave, I'm going to start with you because you're the numbers guy on our panel. Tell us what's happening with the president's approval rating and why isn't it budging? You got any data on that?
Yeah. So the president's approval rating, like you said, is mostly stable right now. And that's because voters don't think about Russia as much as they do other issues. If you look at polls that come out on sort of a day-to-day basis, if you look at some of the results and post-election polls in the 2018 midterms, you see that people really care about the economy, healthcare, sort of the issues that come around every single election cycle, and Russia is sort of pretty low on the list. Additionally, voters' expectations for what would come out of the Mueller probe and the Barr summary were somewhat mixed. Some voters might have been surprised that more wasn't found, but a lot of voters, didn't really know what to expect. And then when the Barr summary came back, they sort of said, okay, well, that's interesting. I'm moving on with my life.
Yeah, so Jessica, are people baked in here? They like the president, they don't like the president, the information, the facts are just whatever they are?
Yeah, I think people have pretty much made their decisions at this point, and I think what is yet to be seen is what happens in this next year. Are we going to have any more scandals come up that are actually going to be surprising to folks?
Mm-hmm. So when we think about, as you mentioned healthcare, David, we talked to the Attorney General from Ohio, and they just joined, Ohio and Montana just joined, they didn't join the lawsuit, but they filed an amicus brief to keep pre-existing conditions as a covered service for healthcare in that lawsuit in Texas. 1.9 million Ohioans could lose healthcare if this lawsuit succeeds, that the president joined. Another 50 million Americans nationwide. So the question for me comes, why would Republicans join a lawsuit like this, knowing it could put so many Americans in healthcare in jeopardy?
That's a really good question. I honestly don't have a great insight into Republican strategic thinking in here. It seems like jumping on a rake. I mean, people's general opinion.
Can we just all get that image a little bit of jumping on the rake? Wow, it's like a cartoon.
Yeah,
I like it.
People's general feeling on healthcare is that they like their plans. They want things to be similar to how they are. We see this in some of the polling that we'll talk about in the next segment. But there's a lot of sort of, I don't want to call it lethargy, maybe inertia is the better word for it, that people like things the way that they are. During the last healthcare push where the Republicans tried to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act, the president's approval rating hit what I think was an all-time low. It's sort of an issue where Republicans are trying to, repeal and replace Obamacare, or in some cases, just repeal it. And that's been shown to be an unpopular move. So, I mean, maybe they think that's the best choice for policy, but politically, it's a tough
So,
lift.
Jessica, this is a question. David talks about stepping on a rake. I think of it like poking yourself in the eye with an ice pick, right? Like, they keep having this problem with healthcare. How is this going to improve the president's approval rating to take on an issue that so many people find to be unpopular?
It's kind of astounding to me that they continue to tie everything to healthcare, right? Each time we saw this, the multiple times that they voted to repeal Obamacare under the Obama administration. We saw this when they failed to repeal and maybe replace, but really just repeal in this last administration. So I'm really confused about why they keep going back. To this issue.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like repeal is really happening very well. So, all right, we're going to have a lot more to talk about the president, and we're going to get into a lot of other fascinating economic issues on this particular show. So I want you guys to sit tight for me for 1 second. Still ahead, the economy is strong and economic anxiety is on the decline, but it might be a little more nuanced than you think. We're going to find out why and have a good talk about it next on What America's Thinking.